With practice exercise 15.14 print inversions, we're going to write a method, print inversions, and it's going to list all inversions in a list of integers. Now, what is an inversion? It's a pair of numbers where the first appears before the second in the list, but the first is greater than the second. And this is a really good example right here. So if we have a sorted list like 1, 2, 3, 4, there's no inversions at all. The print inversions won't produce any output, nothing. But suppose it's the other way, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, then our output's going to look something like this. We must reproduce this format exactly and output our inversions in the same order. If we look at this first variable, we compare it to the next one. We print it out since the next one's smaller. Look at the first variable, compare it to the next one, print it out because that one's smaller. Same thing with the next one, and then we would look at this variable, and then go to the next one, compare those, this one, and then move on to the next one. That's pretty much it. This means we're going to have a for loop inside of a for loop, because we're looking through this array, this list twice. Int list. So let's start this off. We want a public. We are going to be printing something, so we'll make it a void, because we're only printing, we're not returning anything. And then it's going to be called print inversions. We are not taking any parameters, I believe, so we can just go inside of our method. Now inside of here, I told you need two for loops. One to run through the outside, and then another one to compare it on the inside. So we'll do for int a is equal to 0. A has to be less than our size. We want to run it for the entire length of our list. We'll do a++ so we can increment it. And then inside of here, we'll have our second for loop for int b is equal to, and I'm going to set it equal to a, not 0, because if a starts at 0, well, we're going to compare this b to the next value, right? So first we're going to compare it to itself, that's fine. But then we're going to compare it to the value after that. So we want to not start at 0 because, well, look at this one right here, 3 and 2, right? 3 is going to compare with 2. 3 doesn't look back and compare at 4. So once a is at like the third index, so right here, we don't want to look back and compare to the other ones. That means that we have to start our inner loop at a. Hopefully that makes sense. And we'll set b has to be less than our size, and then b++. If it doesn't make sense, as always, leave it in the comment below, question, and I'll try to explain it better there. Now we're just going to have an if statement to do our condition checking. So we're going to say if our element data, then we're going to get our a value first. If a, remember it has to be greater than this, then we're going to print it out. So if a is greater than our element data at our current b index, then we're going to do and I'll just write this on the next line. You could really do all this code on a single line, but just to keep it nice and neat, we'll do a system.out.println, and then inside of here, we're going to have our parenthesis first because it wants it in its specific format. Plus, we're going to have our first element data. We want our a value first, and then afterwards we're going to have a comma, and then a space, and then we're going to append to this element data, and then b, and then we're going to append to this a last parenthesis. That'll pass 7 out of 7 tests, so that's it for this practice it. If you want more practice it, they're in the playlist linked below the like button.